Well, hello and welcome to Back to School Night 2020. It sure is different, isn't it? This is not like anything we've ever done in the past, but I want to welcome you anyway to an exciting new year. Your child's in fourth grade, and I am so excited to be your child's teacher. My name is Mr. Penning, and this is my 27th year teaching in Clovis Unified. I've been teaching here at Clovis Elementary ever since we built this place, and I've seen a lot of changes. But it's one thing that has remained the same is that this place has consistently and always been such a great place for kids. And I'm looking forward to. I'm really hoping that we're going to get back together again as a school here on campus. I'm hoping that happens. But in the meantime, I promise that we're going to have a great time together, whether we're doing distance learning or whatever the case may be. There's a lot of learning to be had. And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and getting to know everybody. And it's going to be a great year. So, a little bit about myself. This is my family. We live in a little old house in Old Town Clovis. This is my wife, Amy, and Amy and I just celebrated our, let's see, this was our 26th anniversary yesterday. My daughters, Lexi and JJ. Lexi is married to Austin. This is my son-in-law, Austin. They are living up in Washington. Our grandchild, our grandson, Chandler, and our newest little grandbaby is Harper. And these are my two boys, Andrew, he's age 10, and Thomas it will be turning 8 soon. So we've got a wonderful, crazy little family, and I love them dearly. Our house, I mentioned we live in a little house in Old Town Clovis. It was built by this guy right over here. His name was Joseph Brindell. He was a missionary um, around here in the Clovis area. And this picture right over here on the far right is our house built back in 1919, I think. So now our house is over 100 years old. I love living here in Clovis, especially in Old Town. History is just a passion of mine, and that's one of the things I love so much about fourth grade because California history is just amazing, and that's what we're going to be learning a lot about this year together. Okay, so what is our year going to look like? What are our days going to look like? This was something that I've been kind of wondering about myself ever since we went on this distance learning mode back in what was it, March, and of course back then we didn't really have a really we were all kind of thrown into this, and we didn't really have much of a plan in place as a district. Well, that's changed. We've got a great plan where we've got a great schedule that we're going to be keeping daily, and so let's take a look at that real fast. All right, so this schedule is going to be pretty much the same for Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So the entire week. Now, Friday is going to look a little bit different, and I'll get to that later. But one of the first things that you're going to need to know is that from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, school starts. School starts at 8 o'clock. And what that's going to look like is that kids, that means that you're going to have to be up and ready just like you always are, when you're getting ready to go to school. Even though you might still be at home, listen, I recommend getting out of those pajamas, get dressed like you normally do, brush your hair, brush your teeth, look sharp, dress for success. That's important. It's important to still be that way, even though we may not be on campus anymore. We still want to look the role because if we do, I believe we're going to work harder. We're going to be more professional, and that's really what we want to do. We want to accomplish a lot. So you're going to get dressed, you're going to get ready for school like you normally do, and then you're going to start working on some independent work. Okay, from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. And we'll have workbooks, we'll have some packets that you might work on, some independent work, math facts. Every day we'll have a math warm up, and we'll also have a daily language that we're going to be working on. So by 9 o'clock, I'm going to need all of that stuff finished. Okay. And the reason for that is from 9 o'clock to 10:30, we start our Zoom meetings. Okay. Now the Zoom link is right here on the page. You may want to pause that and kind of write this down. This will always be my Zoom link. So maybe bookmark that in in the browser that you're using on your computer. And this is where we're going to all come together. We'll come together as a class, and we're going to go over our ELA, which is English Language Arts. We'll have some time to to work on our grammar, things like sentence structure, nouns, verbs, just some basic things. And then also some spelling on occasion we're going to work on. Um, One of the things that we like to do is we like to incorporate, when I say we, I mean the other fourth grade kids and teachers, we like to incorporate science and social studies into our language arts. So we're kind of killing two birds with one stone, so to speak. Science, we learn some really awesome things with science. We're going to learn about electricity. We're going to learn about ecology. We're going to learn about just the world and how it works. And it's really kind of a fun curriculum that we have with science. Um, with social studies, I've mentioned this before. Social studies is our history, and we're going to learn about the Native Americans that used to live in California. We're going to learn about the explorers that came out to California, and we'll learn about things like the gold rush and the transcontinental railroad, and just some really exciting things that will bring history to life. And we don't have to go very far to really see some awesome things. We'll learn about the missions in California and just just lots of wonderful things that hopefully you will be able to experience in person. Maybe get out there with your family because it's really not too far away. The other thing that we're going to be using a lot in this 9 o'clock, 10:30 window is we'll be using our Scholastic News. We'll have another subscription to Scholastic News. I think you probably have that maybe in third grade. That's going to continue. That's going to continue on this year as well. Okay, so that is really what our our Monday through Friday ELA block will look like, and that's from 9 o'clock to 10:30. After 10:30, we'll end that meeting in Zoom, and you can take a break, use the restroom, get a snack, get a good drink of water, because when our break is over, we get right back into it again. At 10:45, I'm going to need everybody back, and we're going to do another Zoom meeting, and we're going to be talking about math. And we are going to correct our math warm-ups together. Everything that we did, earlier that day, that independent stuff. We're gonna go over that together, and then we'll break out, and there will be probably like a recorded math lesson that I'm going to make on whatever it is, the topic that we're studying. Then, after you've watched that video, and that might be a YouTube video or something like that, then we'll have some small group breakout sessions starting at 11:20, and then another one at 11:40, and then another one at 12 o'clock. So there'll be a lot of time on Zoom, a lot of time where you can get some one-on-one, kind of one-on-one, but at least small group help in some of the concepts that we might be learning. Okay. And then we're already at 12:15. From 12:15 to 1 o'clock, lunch. And lunch is obviously on your own. Make yourself that peanut butter jelly sandwich or whatever it is, and just take a time to just relax. The time is yours. Play some video games if you want, if it's okay with your parents. But no matter what, I'm going to need you back by 1 o'clock. Okay, by 1 o'clock. And I do have this for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I left off Friday there's a reason why I left Friday off, but I'll tell you about that in a little bit. From on Monday through Thursday, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, we're going to come back together in Zoom, the link. There'll be probably something like a main idea worksheet that we're going to work on, understanding main idea. It might be a different concept, but it'll be something that is along the lines of maybe something that just makes us better reader. And then we're going to get into our core literature. I kind of like to say this is like saving the best for last, because in fourth grade, core literature, and if you don't know what that is, core literature is when we are all reading the same books. We're going to start off with, I guess I could say it's one of my favorites, but it's hard to even say that because every book that we read is one of my favorites. And we're going to be starting off with Because of Winn-Dixie. Beautiful, beautiful story. I get I get so much out of this book every single year. So we're going to read that together. We'll also do some writing. The writing might will probably be in our done through our Google Classroom, like a Google Classroom assignment where you can write nothing big, but maybe like a paragraph. We'll work on some sentences. It might be related to Because of Winn-Dixie. It might not. And then we're going to also finish up this afternoon block of time. We're going to do our positivity project. That hasn't gone away. I think the concepts that we're learning with positivity project are probably more important now than they ever were. This distance learning it's been challenging, hasn't it? I mean, it's been challenging. I know even in my own family, sometimes we might not be as patient with each other as we would like to be, or maybe as forgiving with each other, or and so I think the concepts that we'll learn with Positivity Project will help us. It will help us remind us about the people that we want to be, even during this kind of, I don't know, dark time. I don't know if dark time really is a good word for it, but this challenging time, we can still be lights and we can still be encouragers to our family. And so, Positivity Project, I think, is going to be probably more important now than it ever was. So, we'll be doing that together as well. Okay, getting back to core literature. I mentioned Because of Winn-Dixie. We'll start with Because of Winn-Dixie. One of the other books that we're going to read is called Island of the Blue Dolphins. Ask your parents about that one. That's probably one that they read. That book's been around for a long time. James and the Giant Peach will be next, and fantastic story. When I was a kid, I was a very reluctant reader. Let's just say it. Let's just put it that way. I love to read now. I read lots of books, lots of different kinds of books. But when I was a kid, James and the Giant Peach, I really liked that book. I remember taking that book with me on, car rides with my parents and reading it, and I just thought it was a fascinating book. One that you may not be familiar with, but in my family has become a huge hit, especially with my boys, is called By the Great Horn Spoon. This is a fascinating, adventurous tale on the gold rush, and it is a phenomenal book. My boys have literally listened to the audio book so many times. They have the whole thing memorized just about. And then finally, we're going to read a book which is way lesser known than any of those, called Blue Willow, which has become one of my favorite books. It's about a little girl that actually grows up here in the Central Valley, kind of in the Great Depression. And it's a fascinating story. You'll hear some familiar, landmarks and places like the Fresno Fair and things like that with Blue Willow. So fantastic book, one of my favorites that it's become. All right, Positivity Project. It's going to look a lot like it did last year when you were in third grade. It's going to look a lot like what it was. We're going to be dealing with the same concepts, things like forgiveness and kindness, perseverance, gratitude, leadership. These are things that are going to develop you into becoming a better and stronger person. And I hope that that's what you've been working on. I hope that, since we've been home, it's kind of given us a chance to sort of pause and reflect on that person in the mirror and say, do I like the person in the mirror that I'm seeing, or is there something that I need to work on to be a more positive person, be a more a person that adds value to the lives of the people around me. I think about that every day. Every day I think about, like, am I adding value to my wife, to my kids, to my school, to my church? Whatever it is, am I adding value? And really focusing on these character strengths, I think, personally, I think helps us add value to ourselves. Okay, not done. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I left Wednesday off because Wednesday is we're going to still consider that an early release day. So we at 2:00 we'll be pretty much done on Wednesdays. But on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 2:00 to 3:00, we're going to fill out our planners. We're going to have some independent work time. that independent work time is really going to have a lot to do with working on your my path. Okay, we're going to be looking at my path, and that's probably going to be part of, in fact, it's definitely going to be part of both your reading grade and your math grade. So you're going to want to do a really good job on those lessons. We're so fortunate that we have my path and the online features that it provides, so that we can still become really great learners at our level. And that's one thing I love about my path, is that it meets you wherever you are. If you're a struggling reader like I was, then you'll get lessons that are at that level. If you're a really advanced reader, like some of my friends were, you'll get lessons at that level. And the same is true with math. And then also on Friday, we're going to do an art project. And that art project will probably start right after lunch. So it won't start at 2 o'clock. It'll probably start around 1 o'clock. Um, what my goal is that we're going to learn about some artists. We're going to learn about their style of art. We're going to look at some examples of their work, maybe watch some videos on them. And if we're not doing art, we might even learn about some composers. I think that would be good for us too. So Friday, we'll have some sort of an art slash maybe music project, something like that. Now, PE. Yes, yes, we still want you to do PE. And you might think, well, how are you going to do that? And I had those questions too. And, PE is really going to be for you to try to figure out. Like for me, I'm working out a lot now in my garage. You know, I'm doing a lot of burpees and I'm doing a lot of running. You don't need really a lot of equipment to get a good workout. But the main thing is, if we want to be the kind of person that we really, really want to be, that means we need to be in shape, both physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever it is. We want to be in shape, and so yes, it is important that you are still getting a workout each and every day. Now, you want to be careful with that. I don't want you just running around the neighborhood and kind of doing your own thing. That's not safe. But you can get exercise right there in your own room. Like I said, you could do burpees, you could do crunches, you could do all kinds of things. It doesn't take much. Just get up and get moving. That's one thing people are finding, that to fight things like stress and depression and things that like a lot of people are feeling, especially during this time of lockdowns or distance learning or whatever. One of the things that they're finding is that if we're getting exercise, all those things become not as big of an issue anymore. So get that exercise, and we will have like a PE log for you to log down your minutes and what it is that you're doing. And I will be wanting those turned in, whether that's going to be an electronic format or just a hard copy. I'm not too sure yet. But yes, we do want you to be doing PE and staying active, staying fit, and that will help you with your grades too, believe it or not. Okay, planners. We are still using planners. And you think, well, but we're not in school anymore. And it's like, well, that doesn't really matter. I have a planner that I use, and I use it, every day. It helps keep me focused. In fact, I found that since we've been doing this distance learning, I needed a planner more than ever, just because I need to remember not only what it is that I did, but what it is I'm going to do. So it's important that we don't let time just like slip through our fingers like sand, because it will. We are given, one thing that you and I have in common is that we're given 24 hours in our day. And that 24 hours can go by really, really fast. And we'll either have something to show for it at the end of that day, or we won't. And we want to make sure that we are all productive and that we're all getting things done. And so the planners will help with that. I will hold you accountable for those. I'll be checking the planners on Friday just real fast. It might be that we all are together in a Zoom, like in a Zoom meeting. And I'll just say, hey, get out your planners, hold them up, let me see. Go through, make sure everybody's been using them, filling them out. And I'll help you fill those things out. But anyway, we are going to do planners, and that's just because they're a good practice to have. So we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep doing planners, and you'll get those when you get your textbooks and things like that. Parent Connect, parents. This will still be going on, and I have grades and lunch accounts. I put lunch accounts down because in some of the things that are in this presentation, I still kept in it from because I thought, hey, we might come back on campus. I'm really, really hoping and praying that we do. So grades, lunch accounts can be accessed through Parent Connect, and it's the same PIN and password that you use to enroll your child. I will be putting grades in weekly. I'm going to tell you this year we won't have as many grades as we normally do. So it's going to be really important that the assignments that kids. I'm kind of going back to you now. The assignments that you do your best on. Fridays we'll have a lot of tests or just kind of finishing up sort of assignments. And so those Friday assessments or whatever it is that we're doing, make sure you're doing your best because we won't have the volume of grades that we normally do. The other thing is that's again a big part of what your grades are going to be, at least for reading, language arts, and math, are your my path success. Okay, so stay focused and do a great job of things for your grades. Okay, websites. There's really only two that I want you to worry about right now. Don't worry about them. Don't worry about anything. But there's only two that I want you to bring to your attention. One is our classroom website. It is you can go to www.penningsclass.com. That site is up and running right now. However, I will be kind of working at making it a little different in the weeks to come. But it is like kind of our I don't know if it's the hub, but it's one of the areas that you can always go back to if you have a question about something. Go back to penningsclass.com and hopefully you can find the answer to that. The other thing is Google Classroom. And I think all of us now have had some experience with Google Classroom. Our class code is right there. So maybe when you're done with this, go on to Google Classroom. You're going to want to do that through Clever. Okay, remember, Clever's still there. So you're going to want to go to Clever. You're going to want to find your Google account and you're going to want to go to Google Classroom and you're going to add class. And that's where you're going to put in this class code. Okay, and once you do that, you'll be enrolled into my Google Classroom. And it's important that each and every one of you do that because we will be doing assignments that will be pushed out through Google Classroom and things like that. Okay. Okay, PRA, that is personal responsibility and accountability. All right, we are still doing this. And obviously, it's a little bit different now that we're doing distance learning, but we are still doing PRA. Um, PRA checks would come in forms of things like, not getting your homework in or maybe not filling out your planner. I have on campus prior to 8 o'clock. Again, we're not going to be on campus, but maybe we will be. And so when we are, make sure you're not on campus before 8 o'clock. Same thing with tardies. I am going to be taking attendance online, okay, 3 times a day. Make sure that you're logged on ahead of time. You might even want to practice that so that when class starts, you're not in a scramble because maybe the technology is not working and you're thinking, oh no, I'm going to get in trouble. Don't worry. I'm going to give everybody lots of grace for the first for the first week or so, however long it takes for us to get used to the technology. But make sure when we're up and running, make sure you're showing up for our Zoom lessons on time because those, if not, those things are going to be considered as tardies and that can affect your PRA. Cafeteria, playground, classroom behavior. Obviously, cafeteria and playground is not going to be so much of an issue right now. Hopefully it will be. Hopefully we'll be out playing together and dining together and all of that like we used to. I miss those days like terribly. Sometimes you just don't know what you had until it's gone, right? It's kind of an old saying, but boy, is it true. Now, classroom behavior does still matter. It does still matter because we're going to be together and I would say that classroom behavior matters more now than ever because doing Zoom meetings, if you've participated in those, everybody's facing everybody. And so it's really important that you stay focused, that you don't get distracted by, looking at each other, and that you are not a distraction by making little googly faces or whatever it is, that we stay focused and we stay um, connected. And I do have control where I can mute you. I always wished I was able to mute my classroom. Sometimes when they would get really loud, I would think, gosh, I wish I could just mute them all. And now I can, but hopefully we won't have to do that. But if there's issues, like I can mute you, or I can turn off your camera, or whatever it might be. But anyway, yeah, that's so. Classroom behavior is also still really important, because we need to keep an environment that is set for learning, and so that everybody can do their best. Okay. All right. Co-curricular opportunities. Again, this is really here for the most part, assuming that we come back to school eventually. Okay. In fourth grade, one of the things that's different about fourth grade from third grade is that you can actually do sports this year. We're going to start off with, well, typically we start off with cross country, and then in the winter we have wrestling is available for you. Track is available in the spring, and then there's game and competition cheer too for those that might be interested in that. Now, what co-curricular is going to look like during this distance learning thing, it's obviously not going to happen. But if we do come back, I've been told that the district is still going to try to have these opportunities for you to run cross country. It's just that it might be a much shorter season, and it might be like in the winter, which in a way is, if you've ever, cross country is normally during this time of the year where it can be really, really hot. So that might not be a bad thing. So anyway, instead of like a 7 or 8 week season, it might be just, 3 or 4 weeks. We'll see. I mean, we're just kind of figuring that out as it goes, just like everybody else. But also, you've got drama. Hopefully, we'll have that maybe in the spring. Oral interpretation, hopefully, maybe in the spring. History Day. I run History Day. Surprise, I love history, but I run History Day. Think of History Day as like science fair, except it's for history. You're going to create displays that have to do with our theme in History Day. And as far as I know, our district is still going to compete. We still are going to do a History Day. I say compete because it is a competition. You'll be competing with other kids, not just in our district, but other kids in Fresno County. And if you really have a great History Day board, or poster, it can even go on to a state level, and even a national level if it was that good. So it's a great competition. It's for those of you that are really interested in. If you like history, if you're like, man, I love stories about the people and the places of the past, then this might be something for you. Then human relations and mediator mentors. Mrs. Mullins, one of our teachers here on campus. You guys all probably know her. She, I believe, is going to be doing human relations and mediator mentors again this year. Not positive about that. And then, of course, our big award that we have is Block C, and that's for our first semester and second semester. I'll be talking about Block C later. I'll probably do maybe like a YouTube video on what Block C is going to look like for us this year, because I would love for you guys to participate in getting that award. It's the most prestigious award that we have here at our school, and when you get up the Block C award, you get this beautiful like wooden plaque, and it's got your name on it, and it's got these little medallions that stick to the plaque, and you get a medallion each and every semester that you earn this award. And so by the time you're done here in elementary school, at the end of sixth grade, um, you could have you're like, what is the fourth, fifth, and sixth? You could have six little medallions representing your success and all your hard work, because it does take a lot of hard work to get Block C. So, but we'll talk more about Block C at another time. Okay, AR, we're still going to be doing AR. Not positive about the points. The points might they might change a little bit. I talked about earlier our core literature books, starting with Because of Winn-Dixie. All of the books in our list are AR books. So at the very minimum, you'll be able to get points off of those books as well. But hopefully you're reading something else too. Not sure what our library is going to look like if we're going to be opening opening that up to students. Probably not right now, but I will be posting on my website some resources like epic.com where you can read books online, and these are AR books that you can take tests on. So, I know it may not. I like to have books in my hand. I have a hard time, reading things on the screen all the time, but sometimes you just gotta make it happen because the best way to become a reader is to read, right? I mean, nothing new. If you wanna be a good runner, you got to run a lot. So if we're going to be good readers, we need to practice reading each and every day. So we're not going to let this whole pandemic thing prevent us from being the best that we possibly can be, and that includes reading as much as possible too. And that's really about all that I have for you guys today. I'm sure that there's still going to be some questions that you have, and hopefully I will be able to to provide some adequate answers. I am really, really looking forward to meeting you guys next week. Parents, if you haven't received or if you haven't checked, check your email. I sent an email out to the list that I have about getting signed up for a slot to come in at some point next week to get your child's materials and some of the work that they're going to need to get started for next week, to make sure that you have the technology in place and that's all working. So I put out a link where through Blooms. Okay, Blooms is a new thing to us this year. You're going to be able to um, schedule things like parent conferences or just this meetup time that we're doing next week through Blooms. And anyway, I've arranged for half an hour slots next week. So find something that would work for you. And I'm looking forward to meeting you guys and hopefully answering some questions and maybe getting a picture of the whole family together. And hey, I'm looking forward to this year. It's going to be a good one, and we're going to be here for each other. So if you have any questions, parents, feel free to email me. And again, look forward to meeting you all. Have a great rest of your evening, and we'll talk to you later.